What's going on, Wolfpack? If you stick around for this whole video, I'm going to teach you exactly what happens when you start smoking weed on a regular basis, like a lot of us did, and what happens to your motivational called Amotivational Syndrome.
Motivation.
I used to be addicted to pot, and there's so many beliefs circulating like pot isn't addictive, and pot isn't that bad for you, and pot is actually good for your lungs and your brain, and all that stuff that like circulates around amongst pot smokers, and you begin to actually believe it. And being raised in Vancouver didn't really help with the situation because this is like pot central of the entire world, so I used to hear and believe every single one of these facts. What I didn't realize was that these facts were just plain old marketing, and most of it was just anecdotal or just made up. And thankfully I quit about 4 years ago, and I've been sober ever since then. But I'm not here to lecture you. You have to listen to this from the people on the internet. Because there's a massive community on Reddit called Reddit R Leaves, who are basically a bunch of people who quit smoking weed. And when you start looking into their stories, you start to realize that they're not smoking weed for the same reasons that alcoholics are quitting drinking, or that smokers are quitting smoking. The members on Our Leaves quit smoking weed because their lives became completely stagnant. They stopped improving, which is what happens with other drugs as well, yes. But the difference between, let's say, alcoholics or drug addicts and weed smokers is that their lives aren't actually getting worse either. Because unfortunately for weed, there are no consequences. There's very few consequences. It's truth be told, it's not that bad for you. And if there are no side effects or consequences, then there's no reason to not do it. So what ends up happening is a complete standstill. You don't improve, but you don't get worse. So you just end up staying the same, which is freaking hell if you ask me. And to understand the correlation between smoking weed, motivation, and dopamine, you have to understand why you started smoking weed in the first place. So let's say this line here represents homeostasis. You don't feel good, you don't feel bad, you just feel okay. And that's not a bad thing. Like, feeling homeostasis is not a bad thing. And most people's days, they ended up going something like this. You had a bad day at work, your boss was a dick, but you know what? You felt a little bit crappy throughout the day, and then afterwards you felt a little bit crappy before you went to bed. So let's say this is like 3 p.m. here, this is 9 p.m., and this is 9 a.m. And these represent problems. These little dips down and represent problems in your life. And most of the time, people just deal with the problems and they feel better. But what ended up happening was, as these problems accumulated, you decided that, let's say this is 6 p.m., that you're not going to end up feeling crappy. You don't want to feel crappy, so you end up smoking weed and sitting on the couch watching Netflix, eating Cheetos. And that made you feel good. Sitting on the couch, eating Cheetos, doing nothing, makes you feel good, right? So now you're a little bit, addicted to doing this because this made you feel good. You don't have to think about your boss. Your boss is a dick, and this is awesome. You get to sit on the couch eating Cheetos while you're stoned. It's great. But what ended up happening was that you actually just wanted to avoid the problems in your life. And the problems in your life actually make your life better. Because if there's no resistance in your life, that means there's no improvement. You have to have resistance, these right here, in order for you to feel better. If there's no resistance, then you can't improve. It means that you're stagnant. It means that you're not improving. So people who are addicted to smoking weed have decided, instead of just dealing with their problems, that they're going to replace it with a drug. And that happened to be weed. And the thing is, with weed, it's not that bad for you. There are no consequences, like I mentioned before. So you end up being super addicted to the substance because there's no consequence. There's no consequence. You just feel, it makes you feel good, and there's barely any side effects. So that's basically how it works. That's how you get addicted, is that you just stop dealing with the problems in your life. And that's how you end up being in this weird, homeostasis, not improving state of life. Because it's not getting bad, and it's not getting good. You're just stuck. And now to really paint the picture of how dopamine works, basically your dopamine system is like a pool, and it's filled all the way to the brim with dopamine. Let's say you're going about your day, and now your boss is a dick, and you decide to finish off your day by smoking a little bit of weed. Your dopamine gets drained. And you know what? It doesn't just stop there, because after that, you decide to watch a little bit of TV stoned. And then you decide to eat some Cheetos. And these things all combined bring your dopamine down to extremely low levels. And now, because your dopamine is so low, all the way down to the bottom, you have no motivation to do anything else in life that is meaningful. Because dopamine drives that desire to want to do something. And this is essentially what a motivational disorder is. Your dopamine gets so low to the point that you can't do anything, and you're so addicted to this drug that you just stay at homeostasis forever. And it's so hard for you to find the motivation to improve your life. So what do? Well, the only thing that you can do is to just quit smoking weed altogether. Just completely quit it. It is the best decision that you're ever going to make in your life. Trust me, I did it 4 years ago and I've never looked back. I'm not going to say that it was easy. It was really hard. It was really hard, and it took me a while to adjust to my new normal. However, once I did it, it was the best move I've ever made because my life started to get significantly better. And I won't dive into details about how to quit. You have to just quit cold turkey. There's no other way to quit. And if you look on our leaves, you can get a ton of advice from them. So I'll leave you to it to research for yourself. But I wanted to give you this information to let you understand what's going on. So if you like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. And also, if you could leave me a comment about why you want to quit smoking weed, I would love to hear it. I'll see you in the next video.